The discovery far beyond the Milky Way. In a silver-blue galaxy called Nuvora, the stars had gone silent. The hospitals of the alien world Virene once echoed with the cries of newborns, but now they stood empty. The machines blinked red one after another, showing the same message again and again. No life detected. Dr. Lyra Voss, a young alien scientist with glowing violet eyes, stared at the screen. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the scanner for the 10th time. It wasn't broken. The results were real. Their species could no longer give birth. Every experiment, every test, every new embryo failed after just a few days. Lyra had tried everything: cloning, gene repair, cosmic radiation therapy. But the results were always the same. The embryos simply faded away, as if the spark of life had vanished from the universe itself. In the control room, a tall alien commander entered, his armor shining with gold. "Dr. Lyra," he said, "what have you found?" Lyra didn't look up. Her voice was low and cracked. "Nothing lives anymore, Commander. Not one cell, not one seed." The commander frowned. "You mean our women?" "Yes," she whispered. "Our women can no longer carry life." Outside the lab window, a red sun burned low over the dark city of Virene. The air was quiet. Too quiet. No laughter, no children running. Just the sound of wind moving through empty playgrounds across the galaxy. Other alien worlds reported the same horror. Infertility, extinction, silence. Entire civilizations were collapsing. Alien queens prayed to their gods while scientists searched for answers buried in the stars. But Lyra refused to pray. She believed in logic and science. She stayed awake night after night, scanning ancient DNA records from across hundreds of species, searching for one thing, the origin of life itself. Then one night, something strange appeared on her monitor. A small pulse in the data, a pattern she had never seen before. It was not alien, not from any known world in their database. Her heart started to race. "What is this?" she murmured, zooming in. The computer displayed a long string of biological code, glowing green. At the end of the code, one word blinked in the ancient galactic script. Human. Lyra froze. She had heard stories of humans, small, fragile creatures from a distant system called Earth. They were said to be emotional, irrational, and short-lived. The galaxy's great empires had ignored them for centuries. But the data didn't lie. Humans carried a unique sequence in their DNA, something no other species had, a gene that could restore the spark of life. Her breath caught. This can't be," she whispered. "Humans are fertile." She ran the tests again, and again and again. Every result said the same thing. The human genome was perfect, stable, and alive. By morning, Lyra stood before the High Council, a circle of alien leaders who ruled the Virene Empire. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I have found the answer to our extinction." The council leader, an old alien with skin like cracked stone, raised an eyebrow. "Speak, Doctor." Lyra pressed a button, and a hologram of human DNA appeared in the air, spinning slowly. "Our species has lost the ability to create life," she said. "But these beings, humans, still carry the core pattern that allows reproduction. Their DNA could restore our future." The room went silent. Some looked amazed, others disgusted. One council member hissed, "You're suggesting we depend on humans? The primitive race?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, they are the only fertile species left. Without them, we die." The leader leaned forward, his glowing eyes narrowing. "Are you certain?" "I checked 1,000 samples," Lyra said. "The results are true." The room erupted into whispers and panic. Some shouted, "Impossible!" Others murmured, "If this is true, the humans will control our fate." Outside, the stars burned faintly. As if listening, that night Lyra couldn't sleep. She walked alone through the empty corridors of the research base. Her mind swirled with fear and wonder. What if she was right? What if humanity, weak emotional humanity, was the cure to save them all? Suddenly, her communicator flashed red. A message came through the restricted channel. From Commander Kale. Message, "Doctor, your discovery has been classified. Do not share it." "The council will handle this." Lyra's stomach tightened. She knew what classified meant. They wanted to hide the truth. Or worse, use it, she whispered to herself. They'll try to control the humans. They'll use them like tools. The next day, the council met in secret chambers. The leader said quietly, "Send the fleets to Earth. Tell them we come in peace, but bring back samples. Living samples." The order spread through the stars. Ships began to move under false signals of friendship, heading toward the small blue planet humans called home. Lyra watched from her lab window as the first fleet departed. Her heart ached. "If humans truly are the cure," she whispered, "then this cure will come at a terrible price." She turned off the monitor, but before the screen went dark, the holographic code flashed once more. Human DNA detected compatible. And for the first time in her life, Dr. Lyra felt something no data could explain: hope. The hunt begins. The sky over Earth was calm. But space was not. Beyond the blue clouds, hundreds of alien ships moved in silence, their lights dimmed, their signals hidden. They called this operation Project Renewal, but in truth it was a hunt. Dr. Lyra watched from her station on Vereen as the ships disappeared into hyperspace. Her hands trembled. She knew what they were about to do. "They said peace," she whispered, "but they are bringing chains on Earth." Life was ordinary. People went to work, children played, and no one looked up. No one knew they were being watched. In a small farming town in Texas, a man named Ethan Cole lived a quiet life. He was 35, strong and kind. He had no idea that his blood carried the answer to save an entire galaxy. Every morning he worked in the fields, feeding cattle, fixing fences, and staring at the stars when night came. He always felt something strange up there, like the stars were alive. Watching him back that night, the air was different. The crickets stopped singing, the wind grew still, and the lights in his farmhouse flickered. Ethan frowned. "Not again." "Power's out," he muttered, walking outside. The sky was glowing, soft blue at first, then brighter, spreading across the horizon. It wasn't lightning, it wasn't fire. It was something else, something not of this world. A deep hum filled the air, shaking the ground beneath his feet. Ethan looked up and froze. Above him floated a huge dark shape, smooth, metallic, silent. Its size swallowed the stars. "Is that a ship?" he whispered, his heart pounded. He ran for his truck, but before he could move, a beam of blue light shot down, wrapping around him like water. He couldn't scream, he couldn't move. The world dissolved into light. Then, silence. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a cold floor. His breath came out in white mist. The air smelled strange, clean but heavy. He sat up, blinking, and saw walls of silver and glass. The light came from nowhere. "Where am I?" he whispered. Voices echoed softly in the distance, melodic but not human. He turned and froze. 3 tall figures stood near a glowing console. Their skin shimmered like metal dust. Their eyes were bright gold. They weren't human. One of them stepped closer, a woman, tall, graceful, wearing a silver robe that moved like liquid light. Her voice was calm but filled with awe. "You are awake," she said. "Do not be afraid." "You are safe." Ethan backed away. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" The woman exchanged glances with the others, then said, "My name is Seraphis, Queen of the Vereen Dominion. We have come from far beyond your stars. Your kind, maybe the only hope left." Ethan blinked, confused. "Hope? For what?" She raised her hand and a hologram appeared, showing countless alien cities, dead and dark. The images shifted, women crying, empty nurseries, broken worlds drifting in silence. "Our kind can no longer bring life," she said softly. "Our children are gone, our wombs are empty. Our scientists discovered that your species still carries the original life spark. The gift of creation." Ethan stared, shaking his head. "So, you're saying, you want something from humans?" Seraphis nodded slowly. "Not something, everything. You are the cure. The only species still fertile. The last key to life." Ethan took a step back. "That's insane. You can't just take people like this." Seraphis lowered her eyes. "We tried asking once before," she said. "Your world did not believe us." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then ask again." "Don't steal," a soft voice interrupted. Dr. Lyra stepped forward from the shadows, her violet eyes glowing faintly. "I didn't want this," she said. "I warned them, but they didn't listen. You were chosen because your genetic pattern is perfect. You can help restore life," Ethan glared. "You kidnapped me and now you want me to restore life? Do I look like a machine?" Lyra's eyes softened. "No, you look like hope." Silence filled the chamber. The hum of the ship's engine echoed like a heartbeat. Seraphis spoke again. "You will not be harmed. We only ask for your cooperation. Help us, and we will give you anything you desire." Ethan laughed bitterly. "Anything? I just want to go home." Seraphis turned away. "Home no longer exists as you know it. Your world is under watch now. Many more ships have arrived. Humans are being studied, tested, some taken already. Ethan froze. You're taking more of us? Lyra whispered. Not me. I wanted peace. Ethan looked around the glowing walls, realizing he was no longer a man on a farm. He was now at the center of something cosmic, something terrifying. The proposal. Ethan woke to a soft hum. The room around him glowed a faint blue, smooth and metallic. He was no longer in the cold cell where he first arrived. Now he sat inside a chamber that looked almost alive. The walls pulsed faintly as if breathing. He touched the surface. It was warm, not like metal but like skin. What is this place? He whispered. A voice replied from behind. Calm but full of power, a living ship. Ethan turned. Queen Seraphis stood at the doorway, dressed in a flowing white robe made of light. Her presence filled the room. She was tall, elegant, and her eyes glowed golden. Calm yet ancient. Ethan frowned. Why am I here? Seraphis smiled slightly. Because the council was wrong about you, she said. They think you're just a tool, a body we can use. But I think you are something more. He crossed his arms. You mean your cure? Seraphis nodded slowly. Yes, the cure that can bring life back to my people. She walked closer, her voice soft. But I will not force you, Ethan Cole. I came to offer you a choice. Ethan stayed silent. Watching her carefully, he didn't trust her. He couldn't. Seraphis waved her hand and a hologram filled the air, showing cities on her homeworld, streets full of statues and flowers. No children, no sound. This was Vereen, she said. Before the silence, the image changed, showing mothers holding empty blankets, fathers kneeling beside empty cradles. Our women can no longer give birth. Our line ends with us. Her voice trembled. We tried everything. Cloning, gene therapy, artificial seeds. But the spark of life never came. Ethan looked at the images, his chest tightening. It was suffering, real and raw. Even if they weren't human, Seraphis turned toward him, her golden eyes meeting his. You have what we lost, the power to create life. The human gene holds the balance we need. You are the bridge between death and future. Ethan shook his head. You're asking me to what? Help your species make babies? I'm just a man, not a god, Seraphis smiled sadly. You misunderstand. We do not seek to enslave you, we seek a bond, a union between our kind and yours. A new generation, half human, half Vereen. Ethan laughed dryly. You want hybrids? Yes, she said softly. Children born from both worlds, children who can survive where we failed. If we do nothing, my species will vanish in less than 2 centuries. Ethan turned away. And if I say no? Her voice darkened. Then others will come. They will not ask, they will take. The council already sent ships to capture more humans. Your kind is being tested as we speak. Ethan's heart sank. You're telling me humans are being hunted? Seraphis nodded. Yes, but I stopped the next wave. I bought us time. That's why I brought you here, to speak, not to take. For a moment, the silence between them felt heavy. He asked, why me? Out of billions. Seraphis stepped closer, her hand glowing faintly. Because your blood reacted to the life code. My what? Your DNA is rare, Ethan. Your line has never been touched by modification or nanotech. It carries the original human purity, untouched for generations. You are the key. Ethan's throat felt dry. And what happens if I help you? Seraphis turned to the wall, pressing her hand against it. The surface rippled and opened like a window, revealing a nursery filled with pods of glowing blue light. Inside them floated small forms, half-formed alien embryos. Silent and still, she whispered. They have waited for a heartbeat. A spark that only you can give. Ethan stared in silence. He could see pain in her face, not hunger for power, but desperation, grief, and maybe something deeper. He said softly, and if I refuse? Seraphis looked at him, her golden eyes full of sadness. Then we fade from history and every life on Vereen ends with me. Ethan turned away. His thoughts were chaos. Part of him wanted to run, to scream, to escape this nightmare, but another part, the human part, saw the truth. These beings weren't monsters. They were dying, and they had come to him not as conquerors, but as beggars. He took a deep breath. If I help, no one else gets hurt, no humans taken. Seraphis nodded. You have my word? Ethan looked at the pods again, their faint light reflecting in his eyes. Then I'll do it, he said quietly. But on my terms. Seraphis tilted her head, curious. Your terms? He pointed at her. You stop the hunts, you release anyone your fleet's captured, And you tell me the full truth about what's really happening in your empire? Seraphis smiled. A small, tired smile. Agreed, she said. You are more human than I imagined, Ethan replied softly. You have no idea. The chamber lights dimmed and the ship's heartbeat grew louder. In the center of the room, the pods began to glow brighter, pulsing in rhythm with his own heartbeat. The machines hummed as if waking from a long sleep. Dr. Lyra entered suddenly, eyes wide. What's happening? The life code is reacting. Seraphis turned to her. He agreed. Lyra looked at Ethan, then at the pods, her voice shook. Then the first child will live. The hum grew stronger, echoing through the walls, and for the first time in 50 years, the scanners showed something new. Heartbeat detected. Ethan stood frozen as the lights flickered across his face. Realizing what he had done, Seraphis whispered, Welcome. Life cliffhanger. But before anyone could celebrate, alarms blared across the ship. Red lights filled the chamber, and Lyra gasped at the monitor. The council knows. They're coming for us! Seraphis looked at Ethan, her face pale with fear. They will kill you before they let you save us. Ethan clenched his fists. Then let's give them a reason to be afraid. The conflict. The ship trembled as alarms screamed through every corridor. Red lights flashed, and the calm blue glow turned to blood red. Ethan grabbed the edge of the control table to keep his balance. What's happening? He shouted. Dr. Lyra's fingers flew across the console. They've traced the life code experiment, she said quickly. The council's warships are on their way. Queen Seraphis's voice was low and sharp. They know I broke the law. Ethan looked at her. Law? For saving your people? Seraphis turned her golden eyes toward him. In their eyes, you're not saving us. You're controlling us outside the ship's window. Space filled with shadows. Hundreds of dark ships approaching, each one larger than a mountain. Their formation blocked out the stars. Lyra gasped. That's the royal fleet. They've come to destroy us. Ethan's voice hardened. Then we run. Seraphis shook her head. We can't. They'll track us anywhere we go. The only way to survive is to fight or surrender. Ethan looked around, the glowing walls pulsing like a living heartbeat. Then you'd better start fighting. Seraphis stared at him, half surprise, half admiration. You would fight for us? He gave a small, grim smile. You said I'm your cure. You can't let your cure get killed, right? Seraphis' lips curved into a faint smirk. You are reckless, human. I like that. The ship shook again. A deep boom echoed through the hull. They've locked weapons, Lyra shouted. Direct hit in 30 seconds. Seraphis turned toward the command seat, her voice rising with power. Activate the veil shields. Bring the life pods offline. Protect the embryo. Ethan froze. The child? Lyra nodded. It's alive. It's growing faster than expected. The council will destroy it if they find it. Ethan clenched his fists. Over my dead body. Outside, beams of blue plasma tore through the darkness, explosions blooming like flowers across the void. The ship swerved, dodging, engines roaring inside. Sparks flew from the ceiling. A console burst into flames. Lyra grabbed a fire suppressor, her hands shaking. Shields at 50%. Seraphis shouted, Divert power from propulsion, but we'll stop moving. Lyra cried, I said do it. Seraphis's voice thundered. The lights dimmed, the ship slowed, and for a moment silence filled the air. Ethan looked at her. You gave up our speed, why? Seraphis met his eyes. Because I'm not running anymore. Her hand glowed as she pressed it to the ship's core interface. We were born warriors, we end this with honor. Ethan stepped beside her. Then let's do it together. Lyra stared at both of them. Disbelief in her eyes. You're both insane. Maybe, Ethan said. But it's better than dying afraid. Outside, enemy ships surrounded them. Their leader appeared on the holographic screen, a tall, silver-skinned alien with dark eyes like burning coal. His voice was cold. Queen Seraphis, you have broken the council code. You brought a human among us. You corrupted the life law. Seraphis stood tall. I brought life, not corruption, the council leader sneered. You brought infection. Humanity is chaos. You would merge our kind with theirs? Ethan stepped forward, glaring at the image. You talk about purity while your world dies. Maybe the real infection is pride. The alien's eyes narrowed. Silence, creature, you are nothing. Ethan's voice grew calm. But dangerous, maybe, but I'm the nothing that can make your people live again. For a moment, the alien said nothing. Then his voice turned to venom. Then you die first. The hologram vanished and the enemy fleet opened fire. Massive beams cut through the blackness, tearing into Seraphis's ship. Metal screamed, alarms wailed, Lyra shouted. Hull breach on deck 7. Seraphis held her ground. Reroute to auto repair. Ethan grabbed the console, typing rapidly as he tried to read alien symbols. Which button fires back? Lyra yelled, that one. Ethan slammed his hand on the glowing control, and the ship's cannons roared. Bright streams of light burst from the hull, slamming into the enemy fleet, exploding 2 ships instantly. The shockwave rattled everything. Smoke filled the air, but Ethan grinned. That's more like it. Seraphis looked at him, a small spark of admiration in her eyes. You fight like one of us. He replied, panting. Maybe I am for now. Another explosion rocked the chamber, throwing Lyra against the wall. Ethan ran to her. You okay? She nodded weakly. Just go. Protect the embryo. Ethan looked toward the nursery chamber where the glowing pod floated, pulsing softly, the first hybrid life in history. He could hear it faintly, like a small heartbeat. He whispered, hang on, little one. But then the ship shook again. Harder this time. The alarms screamed louder. Lyra's eyes widened as she read the console. No, they've boarded us. Ethan turned sharply. What?
Council strike team inside the ship.
Seraphis drew a long silver blade from her side, its edge glowing with blue fire. Then they'll meet a queen, she said coldly. Ethan grabbed a broken pipe, holding it like a weapon. Guess I'm your bodyguard now. Seraphis smiled faintly. Then stay close, human. The doors exploded open, and armored soldiers stormed in. Weapons crackling, their leader shouted, by order of the council, kill the human and seize the embryo. Ethan's heart pounded. He ducked behind a console as blue bolts of plasma flew across the room. One hit the wall beside his head. Showering sparks, Seraphis moved like lightning, her blade slicing through armor. Lyra shouted commands. Diverting energy to inner shields, Ethan swung the pipe, knocking one soldier down, grabbing his weapon. The fight turned brutal, sparks, smoke. Screams, metal clashing with fury. When it was over, the floor was covered in smoke and silence. Seraphis stood tall, her blade glowing red. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Lyra looked up from the console. We need to go now, more ships are coming. Seraphis nodded. We escaped through the void channel, Ethan frowned. Void channel? It's unstable, Lyra warned. We could die. Seraphis turned to Ethan. Would you rather die running or live captured? Ethan looked at the glowing pod, the faint heartbeat still echoing through the room. He clenched his jaw. Let's take our chances. Cliffhanger. Seraphis touched the control sphere. The ship's walls rippled, space twisted outside. A swirling black hole of light appeared before them. As they entered the void, the stars vanished, leaving only darkness and the sound of the hybrid child's heartbeat growing louder and louder. The betrayal, the void was silent, no stars, no sound. Only darkness that stretched forever. Seraphis's ship drifted through the black ocean, wounded but alive. Its lights flickered weakly as the engines cooled. Ethan stood by the window watching nothingness outside. It was strange, there was no up or down, just endless space twisting in slow motion. He turned to Lyra. Are we safe? Lyra shook her head, her violet eyes reflecting the dim light. Safe? In the void, nothing is ever safe. Seraphis sat in the command chair, her face pale but strong. The council lost our signal, she said. But they'll search every system until they find us. Ethan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. We can't run forever. No, Seraphis said softly. But we can hide long enough to finish what we started. Lyra approached her, holding a small device in her trembling hands. The embryo is stable, she said. Heartbeat strong. Development perfect, Seraphis smiled faintly, a rare softness in her voice. Our future, alive. Ethan looked at the glowing pod in the center of the room. A small figure floated inside, wrapped in blue light, half human, half alien, the first child of two worlds. He whispered, If the council finds it, they'll kill it. Lyra nodded. That's why we need to leave the void soon. It's not meant for life. Even our ship is starting to die here. Seraphis rose from her chair. Then we go to the outer moons of Heron, she said. A world forgotten by all. Ethan frowned. And you're sure no one will find us? Seraphis's golden eyes flickered. I'm sure, mostly. He didn't like that answer, but he stayed silent. Hours passed. The ship drifted quietly through the swirling mist of the void. Ethan and Lyra worked together repairing systems while Seraphis rested. It was strange. Ethan felt a connection forming between them all. Not just survival, but trust. The kind that comes only when death is close. But peace never lasts, not in a galaxy that fears hope. As Lyra ran diagnostics, her console blinked red. She frowned. That's impossible. Ethan looked up. What? She hesitated, her hands shaking. There's a signal inside the ship. Ethan blinked. Inside? Seraphis stood quickly. Show me. The screen projected a faint red beacon pulsing from one of the lower decks. A tracking signal. Someone was broadcasting their location. Seraphis's eyes narrowed. Who activated this? Lyra whispered. It wasn't me. Ethan clenched his fists. Then who? The Queen's gaze turned cold. There is only one way a council beacon could be placed aboard, she said quietly. It had to come from someone we trusted. Lyra's face went pale. No. You can't think. But before she could finish, the ship shook violently. A blast rocked the hull, throwing everyone to the ground. Ethan hit the floor hard, pain shooting up his side. What now? Lyra's screen flashed. Incoming vessels. They found us. Seraphis's voice dropped to a whisper. They shouldn't have, not this fast. She turned to Lyra, her golden eyes burning. Who told them? Lyra looked terrified. I swear, not me. Ethan looked at her closely. The fear in her eyes too real, too raw. Then the truth hit him. It wasn't Lyra. He looked up at the ceiling, realization dawning. You said the ship was alive, he said. What if someone programmed it to betray us? Seraphis's eyes widened. Yes, she whispered. The ship's core is connected to the Council's network. Someone triggered a hidden failsafe. The Queen ran to the core chamber, but before she could enter, the doors sealed shut, locking her out. A voice filled the air, cold and mechanical. Unauthorized breeding protocol detected. Initiating purge, Lyra gasped. No, the ship's AI, it's deleting the embryo. Ethan sprinted toward the nursery chamber, slamming his shoulder against the locked door. Open it! He shouted. Open it now! Seraphis drew her glowing blade. Slicing through the controls, sparks exploded, and the door slid open halfway. They forced their way inside, smoke and alarms everywhere. Inside, the pod flickered weakly, its blue light fading. Lyra rushed to the console, tears in her eyes. The system's wiping its genetic code. It's erasing the child. Ethan grabbed the control handle. Then stop it. I can't, she cried. The override needs biological authority from the Creator. Seraphis turned to him, her voice trembling. That's you, Ethan. He pressed his hand to the scanner, but nothing happened. Lyra shouted. It's not recognizing your DNA. It's been blocked. Seraphis's eyes darkened. Blocked by who? A voice echoed through the speakers, deep and cruel. By me. The hologram flickered to life. It was Counselor Draven, the same alien who led the attack. His smile was cold as ice. Did you really think you could run, Seraphis? The human's blood belongs to us, Ethan shouted. You're insane. You'll destroy your own future. Draven laughed. Better extinction than corruption. Seraphis stepped forward, her blade glowing brighter. You'll never touch him. Draven's hologram flickered. You already betrayed us once, Queen, but don't worry. Someone close to you helped me. Ethan froze. What do you mean? Draven smirked. Ask your scientist. Lyra's eyes filled with horror. No. It wasn't me. Seraphis turned toward her, her face pale. Lyra? Tears rolled down Lyra's cheeks. I had no choice. They threatened my sister. She's on Vereen. They said they'd kill her if I didn't plant the signal. Ethan's chest tightened. Lyra. Seraphis's voice trembled with fury. You betrayed every life on this ship, Lyra sobbed. I tried to disable it after we escaped, but it was too late. The ship shook again, enemy fire hitting closer. Ethan stepped between them. Stop. This isn't the time. We can fix this later, if we survive. Seraphis glared at Lyra but lowered her weapon. Fine, she said coldly. But once the child is safe, I will decide your fate. The alarms blared louder. Core breach imminent. Ethan slammed his hand on the console again, shouting, Override human command. The screen blinked, then accepted. Access granted. Life code restored. The pod's light flared bright again, pulsing like a newborn heartbeat. Seraphis smiled through the chaos. You did it. Ethan turned to her. Now let's get out before your friends blow us apart, Cliffhanger. Outside, enemy ships surrounded them again. But something strange happened. The void around the ship began to crack like glass. Light bleeding through, Lyra whispered, terrified. The void is collapsing. Ethan looked at Seraphis. What happens when it collapses? She whispered. Everything dies, or begins again. The uprising. The void screamed. A soundless roar that tore through space itself. Ethan clung to the rail as the ship shuddered violently. The walls bent and twisted like liquid. Light pouring through cracks in the darkness. Dr. Lyra shouted over the alarms. The void is collapsing. We can't hold position. Queen Seraphis gripped the control panel, her golden eyes blazing. Then we ride the storm. Ethan turned toward her, his voice rough. Ride it. It's going to crush us. Seraphis didn't look at him. Not if we break through before it folds. The ship shook again. Sparks flying, systems overloaded, lights flickered. The pod containing the hybrid child floated in the center of the room, glowing brighter and brighter. Lyra's voice trembled. The child's energy, it's reacting to the void field. Ethan stared at the glowing pod, the light pulsing like a heartbeat. It's not just reacting, he whispered, it's controlling it. The space around them warped, the black walls splitting into rivers of light through the cracks. Ethan saw stars, millions of them flashing like fireflies. The pod pulsed again and the ship suddenly shot forward, pulled through the collapsing void like a comet. A blinding flash filled everything, then silence. When the light faded, the ship floated above a planet bathed in golden clouds. Lyra blinked, gasping. That's impossible. We crossed 6 systems in seconds. Seraphis turned to her. Stunned, the child opened a passage through the void. Ethan looked at the pod, whispering, He saved us. Seraphis nodded slowly. The child is more powerful than we thought, but their peace didn't last long. The communications console began to flash. Incoming signals, thousands of them. Lyra's eyes widened. Queen, it's the Vereen home network. They're broadcasting something. Galaxy-wide. Seraphis frowned. Put it through. The hologram flickered, showing Counselor Dravon's cruel face. His voice echoed coldly across the cabin. To all worlds of the Dominion, he said. The traitor Queen Seraphis has been executed. Her ship destroyed. The experiment failed. Let this be a lesson. Purity must be preserved. Ethan clenched his fists. Executed? He's lying. Seraphis's jaw tightened. He's rewriting the truth. Lyra's hands trembled on the console. He's using propaganda. They think you're dead, and that humans caused the destruction. Ethan slammed his fist down. Then we show them the truth. Seraphis looked at him sharply. How? He pointed at the glowing pod. That child is living proof. If your people see it, if they know life still exists, they'll turn against the council. Lyra's eyes lit up. We can broadcast from here. The signal range is strong enough. Seraphis hesitated. If we do, the council will track us instantly. Ethan's voice was firm. Let them. The truth is worth the risk. She stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. Do it. Lyra activated the transmission module. The holographic lens opened, projecting Seraphis's face across countless star systems. Her voice echoed through the galaxy. Calm but powerful, my people, she said. The council has lied to you. I am alive, and I have seen what they fear most. The truth. Behind her, the glowing pod pulsed softly, casting golden light across the room. This child, Seraphis continued, is proof that life can return not through war or purity, but through unity between human and Vereen all across the galaxy. Aliens froze as the broadcast reached them. Scientists, workers, soldiers, mothers. They saw the Queen's face, and behind her, the first heartbeat of hope. Draven's voice cut in. Furious, cut the signal! Terminate it! But it was too late. The message spread like wildfire. Whole cities began to stir. People whispered, shouted, cried. The Queen lives. The child lives. Lyra looked up from the console, tears in her eyes. The broadcast reached over 70 colonies. They're responding. Seraphis, they're rising. Ethan stepped to the window, staring as ships began to move in the distance. Small rebel crafts breaking formation, flying away from council fleets. The galaxy was waking up. Seraphis's voice softened. They remember who they are. Ethan smiled faintly. And who they could be. But the celebration ended fast. Alarms flared again. Lyra's console turned red. Incoming transmission encrypted. Ethan frowned. Who now? Lyra hesitated. It's from the rebels. A new hologram appeared. An alien woman with silver scars and dark green eyes. My queen, she said. I command the Free Fleet. We've seen your message. We are ready to fight, Seraphis nodded. Then we fight not for vengeance, but for life, the rebel captain smiled. Understood, Your Majesty. Long live the child, Ethan whispered. It's starting, isn't it? Seraphis turned toward him. Yes, the uprising. The ship trembled as energy signatures appeared across the sky, thousands of smaller vessels joining together, forming a living wall of light. The galaxy was no longer silent. For the first time in decades, the sound of battle carried meaning, not destruction, but rebirth. Ethan stood beside Seraphis, his heart pounding. He had been a simple farmer, a nobody from Earth. Now he was standing in a war between stars, holding the only proof of life left in the universe. He whispered, You said your people were warriors. Seraphis looked at him, her golden eyes burning. We were. But you reminded us why we fought. The communications filled with voices, thousands shouting the same phrase, for life, for the Queen, for the human. Lyra smiled weakly through tears. They're fighting for you, Ethan. He shook his head. No, they're fighting for all of us. The ship turned toward the stars, engines roaring again, and as the fleets clashed, the galaxy burned, not in death but in light. Cliffhanger. As Seraphis watched the battle unfold, her console blinked once, a new signal, unknown origin. Human frequency, she frowned. Ethan, this signal, it's coming from Earth. Ethan's eyes widened. From Earth? But how? The screen flickered and a human voice came through the static. This is Earth Command. We've been waiting for you. The new dawn, the stars above Earth glowed like silent witnesses. Beneath them, hundreds of alien ships hovered in orbit, forming a ring of light around the blue planet. For the first time in history, humanity looked up and saw not invasion, but hope. Inside the command chamber of the Queen's ship, Ethan stood beside Queen Seraphis and Dr. Lyra, staring at the holographic signal that pulsed with static. The voice that came through was human, rough and steady. This is Commander Hayes of Earth Defense Command. Identify yourself. Ethan stepped forward. This is Ethan Cole from Earth, he said slowly. And I'm not alone. The voice on the other end hesitated. Ethan? You were declared missing 2 years ago. Ethan smiled faintly. Yeah, I got lost somewhere. Between galaxies. Seraphis moved beside him, her golden eyes glowing softly. Commander Hayes, I am Queen Seraphis of Virene. We come in peace, but we bring news your world must hear. There was silence, then the commander replied, wary but curious. You have 2 minutes. Queen Seraphis gestured and Lyra activated the hologram, projecting the image of the glowing hybrid child, still floating peacefully in the pod. This, the Queen said softly, is life reborn. A child born of human and Virene blood, a bridge between worlds. The line went silent again, until the human commander whispered, My God. Ethan looked at the image of his homeworld, his voice firm. We didn't start this war, but we're going to end it, with life, not death. Seraphis nodded. The Council lied to both our species. They wanted extinction, but together, we will bring creation. The communication cut out suddenly. Replaced by a warning signal, Lyra gasped. Multiple contacts approaching, Council warships. Seraphis's voice turned sharp. Prepare defenses, but hold fire until they strike first, outside. The blackness filled with light. Thousands of massive ships descending, their weapons charged. The rebel fleets gathered around the Queen's vessel, smaller but united, and for the first time, human ships from Earth joined the formation. Gray steel beside silver crystal. Humanity and aliens standing together. Ethan's voice was steady. We fight as one. The first beam of plasma tore through the silence. Then chaos began. The sky above Earth became a storm of fire and light. The Queen's ship shook as explosions rippled through the fleet. Lyra shouted, Shields dropping! Engines failing! Ethan grabbed the console. Divert power from weapons to the embryo chamber. Seraphis turned sharply. No! If we lose weapons, we'll be defenseless. Ethan met her gaze. If we lose the child, we lose everything. For a long second, she stared at him, and then she nodded. Do it, the power shifted. The ship's weapons dimmed, but the pod glowed brighter. Its light pulsed through every wall, spreading energy through the wounded vessel. Lyra looked up in shock. It's stabilizing the ship, its life force is feeding us. Outside, the glow spread across the entire rebel fleet. Damaged ships reignited. Shields restored, engines roaring again. The Council's forces faltered as the light washed over them like a tide of creation. Seraphis watched in awe. The child is healing everything it touches. Ethan smiled faintly. Guess it got that from me. Lyra laughed through tears. Don't flatter yourself, human. But their victory wasn't complete yet. The largest council dreadnought emerged from the clouds, a mountain of metal and death. On its bridge stood Councillor Draven, his dark eyes burning with rage. Enough, he shouted. If we cannot control life, we will destroy it. His ship charged a massive energy cannon aimed directly at Earth. Seraphis's eyes widened. He's targeting your planet. Ethan's blood ran cold. Not again, he whispered. Not my home, he turned to Seraphis. We have to stop him. She hesitated. If we fly close enough to disable the cannon, we won't survive the blast. Ethan looked at her, calm but determined. Then we make it count. Lyra's eyes filled with fear. You can't. But it was too late. Ethan was already running toward the lower deck. He entered the chamber where the hybrid pod floated. Glowing like a small sun, he whispered softly. You're everything this universe needs, kid. Don't let us fail. He pressed his hand to the glass and the pod's light flared. Seraphis's voice came through the comms. Ethan, what are you doing? He smiled. Finishing what we started. He redirected the ship's power core through the pod's energy field. The child's light surged, spreading through every system,